Just to give you a little tech background as well, I'm using Restream.io to actually rebroadcast to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and my Facebook group as well. So it's actually a great little tool to be able to do that. Instead of just broadcasting on this, Run the World, it's a little bit more flexible in terms of what you can do and how you can do it as well. So like I said, feel free to ask some questions. I'm going to get started pretty quick. We are live streaming as well. If you do have questions on anything too, obviously web and digital and that sort of thing. Or if you want to know how to make ribs, I can tell you how to make ribs too. But anyway, let's get started. So my name is Doyle Bueller. Welcome to the Digital Roadmap session, where I'm going to be covering a lot of the detail in terms of what are some of the strategies that we can be using now to be able to enable our audiences and enable our businesses as well. And honestly, it's a tough world out there online. And when I say online, it doesn't mean that you have to be 100% online, and I'm going to get into kind of the details of that. But what it does mean is that you can actually use online, you can leverage online, and make it a lot better for your business as well. So it's something that we really need to engage. We really need to kind of make that decision. What are we going to do now, and what can we do now, and what can we do, a little bit later? Or how do we actually put these pieces in place and be able to know what is going on, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the steps like that as well. So it comes down to fundamentally building a simple roadmap. And a lot of us, we've used a roadmap, obviously, because you wouldn't get very far without one. But the challenge with business is that we haven't yet sort of structured it to be able to say, here's a quick little a GPS, here's a quick little indication of where do I want to go and how do I want to get there and what steps do I need to take as well. So that allows us to be able to do that. So we want to just make sure that we do have a roadmap forward and we do have these kind of steps outlined, because when everything is kind of chaotic and falling off the rails around you, you want to make sure that you've got those pieces and you have those clear instructions and those clear strategies as well, because that will help you accomplish more as well as we get into it. The interesting thing is that once we have a roadmap in place, it allows us to be able to be a bit more flexible. And then we actually know what we need to do and how to do it. And in online, there are obviously a lot of different pieces that are coming together at many different directions and many different speeds and velocities and that sort of thing. So we need to be able to do that. But similarly to GPS, that you punch in the details of where you want to go. Once you've decided where you want to go, you do it a couple times, and then you don't necessarily need to punch it in every time, because you have a much better idea of what you're doing and where you're going and how you're going to get there, and that sort of thing. So it becomes a lot more intuitive, and that's really what I want to be able to show here and demonstrate here is how do you make this more intuitive? How do you actually understand the foundation and then the next steps to be able to do that? So there's a lot of quite a number of steps that we want to go through as well as we get into this, but I want to be able to quickly go through this. And like I said, we'd be taking about 55 minutes or so through this. So can everybody see my screen okay? Can everybody hear me okay as well? Any issues with sound or visuals? Cool, thanks. And welcome, Jeff. Glad to see you here. Thank you for coming. Daniel, thank you as well. Good to see you guys here. All right, so let's get started. So the revenue acceleration roadmap, and what it really fundamentally comes down to is 3 online fixes for your business to amplify your impact and generate higher demand as well. And we want to be able to look at this, not so much of like online isn't easy, and you probably heard me say that an awful lot to be able to go forward is we have a lot of work to do, and whatever your specific challenges, and hopefully we'll have some time at the end to go through with that. It's difficult and it's not easy, and we need to make sure that we have a good solution that fits and that we're not scared to use as well. And that's really, really important here. And thanks to Jeff for this quote. I'm still using it, so I really appreciate that. Change your attitude, unfuck your head, make an honest, unsentimental accounting of your present condition, prepared to be disappointed, define what you want instead clearly. By clear, I mean precise and feasible. An unrealistic objective is sure to sabotage the process. Hit the books, try and error, inquire, risk, mimic, insist, resist. Totally love that piece as well. And so guess what? It's September 2021. Where to from here? we've been doing this for a while. Myself, I've been in the digital and online space for 19 years, going on 20. So I've seen a lot of these changes, and I've seen sort of the growth of these original websites to something obviously a lot better and that sort of thing. But we still have to, it hasn't made it any easier. And that's the only thing that's really gotten easier, I guess, would be that a lot of the technology, but still the business behind it is still just as challenging and even more challenging than it was before. Why is that? Because it's a new environment. There's new variables. There's new ways to do things. There's new understandings. There's a lot of misunderstandings as well. A lot of misinformation of what works and what doesn't. Sometimes it's just trying it and seeing if it works as well. I mean, if you look at marketing for what it is, it's not a magic bullet, right? It needs to be looked at as something that you try and something that you experiment with and see what does that envelope look like in terms of how do I get the greatest impact? How do I create the strongest connection with my audience as well? So where to from here? Where are you going and what are you doing? So I guide the digital challenger businesses in navigating the daunting digital economy and overcoming the fear, anxiety, and resistance of operating as a true digital-first company in the digital decade. I create digital pathfinders, entrepreneurs, leaders, and executives who want to make a bigger impact, get better results, and find better customers online so the world knows who you are and wants to do more business with you as well. So the big question, right? Why? Let's be honest. Why do we want to do this? Why do we need to be online? Why can't everything just work as it is? Why can't, I just have a lot of customers waiting to do business with, right? Why? And this is fundamentally what we need to understand is I'm not challenging you here to scrap everything and do something, completely redo your business or whatever the case may be. What I'm saying is that you've been in business for a while, right? So how do we make that more valuable? How do we actually enhance that value online and using the digital tools at your disposal to be able to show your value? You're already sitting on a mountain of your value. We just need to get it out there, right? And that's what a roadmap will do. So we've got 3 basic steps to get over there, right? 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to be highlighting these going forward in terms of how do these steps fit together and what exactly are they and how do they actually work together as well. So despite what's going on, and we know there's a lot, right, we still can evolve, we still can grow our business to fundamentally where we want it to go as well. To get to where? Well, where do we want to go? The digital promised land. And that can mean different things for different people, right? It really depends on your business. I'm going to quickly go into, where you can go along that type of roadmap, but fundamentally, where is it? What does that mean to you? Does it mean, having a global business? Because a lot of people want to do business, but they don't necessarily want to do business outside of their neighborhood or whatever the case may be. They just want to be happy in their small little business on the corner street, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But when you look at what can you access now, how can you access people from the suburbs, across the state, across the country, around the globe. And to me, that's where the tremendous opportunity is being able to find that piece of the puzzle, of the things that we wanted to be able to do to grow that business, to allow you to connect with people from around the world as well, which is a fascinating aspect as well. So, ask yourself, what does your digital promised land look like? If you wouldn't mind putting it into the chat as well. What does success look like to you? What do you actually want to accomplish as well? I would love to see what comes to mind for yourself as well. So now, everything that we do, again, the why is typically what we want to do is be able to transform that journey, right? Create an incredible journey of transformation for your audience. That's what they're coming to us for. Right? They're not coming to us for a simple transactional type thing. They can go to the shops for that, right? They want something that is going to transform what they're doing. So whether it's time, money, resources, you name it, it needs to be a transformation, a step from one place to the next step as well. Transactional, I'm talking, buy stuff, simple and static and passive enjoyment. And we also need to look at, guess what? Not every business needs to be 100% online. I get that quite a lot. It's like, what what do you mean an online business? Or my business isn't online, yet everything you do is online as well. So it makes it a little bit challenging to say, well, are you an offline business? No, you're not really an offline business if you're using the tools and you're trying to use the strategies to be able to get more customers as well, to be able to do that as well. So we have to look at, okay, there's this range between offline, and online, and we're somewhere in here, on a scale of 1 to 10. And again, I'd love to hear it in the chat. Where do you see yourself in your business in terms of offline and online? And I have this metaverse, and I don't really like talking about that, but this is like the AR goggles and the VR goggles and that sort of thing as well. So it's really important to be able to understand that I'm not talking VR and AR here, right? I'm talking business interactions humanly, as humanly as possible, right? So we want to decide, are we offline or are we online, right? And you should typically be in the 6 to 7, and I see, Daniel, you're saying now 7, which is fantastic. So let's just put that there, 7. We want to move that forward as well. A hard 7 on the line as well, Jeff, thank you. Yeah, and we also need to understand that in between this, if we're getting more in terms of online, are we creating more of a transformation as well? Because if we're not, then it doesn't really matter, right? We're talking about deep resolution. We are talking about complex solution, but the opposite of that is a complex. We can integrate a complex solution rather into what we do, but active enjoyment as well. So we want to kind of define that. We want to see where we're able to go and how we're going to get there as well. The online world is shifting. We've been focusing on how many clicks we get, but we really need to shift our strategies to making every click count as well. This is why the strategies are changing, the tactics are changing as well, because previously it was just about eyeballs and clicks and that sort of thing. And as you've probably experienced, it's not about that anymore, right? So I would just want to quickly go back into the economy and show you a few things that are really quite important here. Throughout the COVID period as well, we saw this massive peak. This is the US and UK statistics as well into 2021, early January. So they're about 6 months out of date. But we have seen a fairly large peak, and this is about 35%. So we've seen this growth from roughly 15 to 35% of about 20% growth in the last 18 months for the businesses who've engaged fully online, right? So there is a clear distinction. It's not just necessarily an e-commerce store. It's businesses that are offering their products over online and their services online as well. So they've seen 5 years of growth in 9 months. What does that mean? That means that the last quarters and into 2021 have been the 35% growth of those businesses as well. So it's been quite significant. So while some businesses are closing, and it's unfortunate for them, not every business can be saved. Let's be completely honest too. We only have so many lifeboats, but we need to make sure that we're able to say to the business, how do we actually make this better for you? How can we actually put these strategies in place to be able to give you that opportunity as well? So to me personally, like I said, I've been involved in digital and online for 19, almost 20 years, and we're only at 20 to 30% of digital adoption and digital penetration, businesses being online and being able to offer a complete and remarkable online experience as well. To me, I'm shocked. I don't know about you. Are you guys shocked? Like, that's pretty low, 20 to 30%. But let's be honest, again, it hasn't been, if we could say that it's like a different way of doing business, it certainly is, but we kind of need to understand the fundamentals, and a lot of that is the strategic thinking, the understanding of, okay, what does this playing field look like, and what are these players, and how do I actually play this game, kind of thing. So we really kind of need to embed ourselves into this. But what if we could get into, I call it digital leadership, but what if we could get into 75% of digital adoption and penetration? Like, do you think we would have any issues? Well, of course, we'd still have some issues, but do you think we'd have a lot of issues with the economy? Do you think we'd have a lot of concerns with what's going on and how it's going on as well? Probably not. Okay, so where do you think, where would you like to go? And I know that this is a different scale, in terms of the transformation in online and offline. But for everybody who's watching, like, where would you consider a good level of digital leadership? Where should you be? Where should I be? Where should you be in terms of penetration, digital adoption? Like, how many businesses should be using digital a lot more effectively? I'd love it if we can get to 75%. That's kind of one of my personal goals as well. And that's why I do a lot of this stuff, is let's get these businesses up there. This is the 21st century, right? And we don't have flying cars yet. We've got like spaceships that can go up to space and land backwards, which is pretty cool. But we're in the 21st century. We kind of really need to push the envelope here as well. So let me know what you think in the comments. What is that perfect number? What is a better number that we can actually look at as well? And if you're not there, if you're not fully engaged, what are you missing out on? What are you potentially not seeing? And what business are you potentially missing as well because of that, right? Excellent. Now, the winning environments, the winning business environments, I showed you earlier about the incredible journey, the transformation of being, offline versus online. And there are going to be companies that are online versus offline, and there are going to be companies that are transactional versus transformational. So where do we want to be? We kind of want to be in this space here, and you'll see a lot of the companies that are doing very well. And unfortunately, I can't go into a lot of detail because of time, but the companies that are doing well, guess what? They're all kind of in this sector here, right? Now, poor old Qantas is very offline business, but they still do it. Obviously, they can still do a lot of online through tourism and through tourists and through bookings and that sort of thing. So they're not out of the game, right? They're still doing some pretty good things down here. And that business model has to look at, well, how do we actually adapt? How do we use these different elements as well? But if we look at, Xero, if we look at Afterpay, if we look at eBay, Vinomofo, Netflix, Canva, Amazon, Disney, Uber, HelloFresh, these are all companies, and I've got a slide coming up that shows these kind of models, is how can we actually do this? How do we actually know how to be able to do that? And so we need to make sure that we're in this space going forward, right? How can we do that? Well, we need a roadmap. We need those strategies. We need that process. We need that step-by-step to say, let's get on with this. Let's move forward as well. All right, cool. So the winning business models, and again, if you don't have one, that's like this totally fine. But these are the ones that we're going to see a lot more of, and it doesn't mean you can't adapt your existing business model, tweak it a little bit, slightly to something like this. We have what I call the celebrity chef. So this is Jamie Oliver, a celebrity chef, plus Uber Eats, being able to have food delivered automatically or on short notice, and then HelloFresh, where you kind of get the ingredients and you're able to do that. So that's a good example of restaurants being able to change and adapt. But it's also a good idea for service-based businesses to be able to do that. How do you actually do that? This is where a lot of personal branding comes in. This is where a lot of instant type programs and processes come together as well. And this is where a lot of on-demand information connecting with your audience can come through as well. The next one I have is Netflix Spectacle for music and entertainment. And again, you don't necessarily have to be in those industries, but you can take some learnings for what they're doing. At the start of COVID, Disney had their play, Hamilton, and what they wanted to do was people couldn't go to the theaters. So what do? They decided to actually film the Hamilton on location, and they were able to produce a show within a matter of weeks. And it was up on their platform, and it was then streaming to everybody for Disney Plus and that sort of thing. On the other side of the coin, we had Cirque du Soleil, who said at the beginning, "Oh, we can't do this. We're going to go bankrupt, and we're going to sort of, see what happens," type things. But can you imagine really if they really wanted to push their model, what they could have done with that? Cirque du Soleil, they've been around for 30 years. Like, how much content do they have? How many performances do they have? How many fans around the world? Like, if you go anywhere around the world and you want tickets to Cirque du Soleil, you got to stand in line, or you got to get them like 6 to 9 months ahead of time. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get them. What if, Cirque du Soleil created a Netflix spectacle or spectacle, spectacular. It allows you to be able to provide that content to your audience simultaneously. And I think they were brought out of receivership, but that's beside the point. The point is that they didn't actually look at how do we actually move ourselves into that space that I was showing you with the quadrants, the transformation quadrants as well, right? They said, nah, we're going to play down here where their audiences have to wait in line for a show that they could not go to, or they might book and pay, but then guess what? The show gets canceled. So to me, there was a huge opportunity that was missed by that. And then the last model that I just quickly want to highlight was the Olympian and the virtual digital experience as well. And this is basically combining all the different aspects of what people want to be able to do. We had Spotify combining with Michelob, the beer manufacturer, combining with Strava, the mapping software, and then footwear. I think it was Adidas or some other. They all kind of came together and they created this amazing virtual experience to be able to get and connect with their audience directly as well, to be able to provide them that value. And again, they didn't change their products, they basically combined them together. And that's what we're really looking at. I mean, that's what's really important here to be able to understand as well. So those are the winning business models, and thanks everybody. I've seen the questions flash by. I'll try to get to them as soon as I can as well. So we'll be able to hopefully get into that soon. So again, don't look at it as, is my business sort of the traditional consulting type business, but what can I add to it as well? Can I add kind of the different elements, the different digital elements that allow you to progress rapidly on that as well? And I promised I was going to talk about the elephant in the room, right? Or the elephant in the tub, as I like to say as well. What's the problem? What's everybody seeing right now? Ads don't work on Facebook. Cookies are confusing, reach is down, and as a result, great businesses get missed, which could potentially be yours. And you need to ask yourself, is this just Facebook? It's happening there right now, or is this indicative of what's to come with all the online platforms? And what will you do? Okay, if Facebook shuts down, what are you going to be able to do? And if you can't do anything, then you need to really look at how can you actually progress forward as well. So what's better, an elephant in the tub or an elephant in the room? Quick answer. I'd love to see your answer. Come on. The point is that we need to look at what's really important here, and the long-term effects as well. Many elephants, thank you. Jeff, in the tub. Elephants in the tub, yes, I agree. All right, so I need to ask you this, are you really committed to this? A lot of us kind of get set in the rut of, the old cart track, and that's kind of where we're going. And so I don't need a GPS, I don't need a business roadmap, because this rut is taking me there. The sad part is that it's not necessarily taking you where you want to go. Okay, and that's what we want to overcome here, is how do we actually take these tools, how do we take these strategies to be able to do that, I can change tickets to see an elephant in my room. Good. Thanks, Daniel. You can change the tickets. But do you want an elephant in a tub in your room? That could be an interesting conundrum as well. Okay, so where are you right now? Ask yourself, where are you right now with your business? Where are you stuck? Are you doing great? How are things going? Do you have a pathway forward? Do you have an indication of where you want to go? Are you getting a lot of friction? Are you getting a lot of misunderstanding in terms of what you do and how you do it as well? So we need to be able to commit to what's going on. 100% commitment is easier than 98% commitment. When you fully commit to something, the decision has been made. This is business stuff, right? But unfortunately, a lot of times, especially in digital, I see this every single day, is we're stuck in these ruts and we're not prepared to kind of make that leap outwards outside of that rut as well. So being a business online isn't easy, and I think I've shown you that, unless we simplify it. And that's why, I love triangles almost as much as I love Venn diagrams. I don't know which one you might love more, but I love geometric shapes. Because if we can want to simplify, and I'm not saying the problem is simple, but if we break it down into different pieces, we can then see how simple it can potentially be. It's still going to take a lot of work. It's not going to be easy. Okay, so let's not confuse those two as well. But it looks like a mountaintop, right? What is this? Well, this is what I call the digital expedition as well. We want to be able to understand how we get there and what we do and that sort of thing. And we're going to go through these zones of transformation that I spoke of earlier as well. Now, there is a difference here. One that I really want to point out is the difference between a safari and an expedition. What's a safari? It's going out watching elephants, zebras, giraffes, right? It's kind of seeing what's going on. You got something, somebody might be a guide and that sort of thing, but are you actually doing anything? It's more just observing and seeing, okay? Which is good, don't get me wrong. You can certainly have a lot of fun on a safari. But what about an expedition, where it really fundamentally comes down to discovery and doing? And to me, that is really, really important as well, because that's where you're able to say, look, this is where I'm going to build my pathway forward, is by building an expedition. Do we talk about a great expedition or a so-so safari, right? What do we talk about safaris a lot? No, because they're quite personal. Do we talk about expeditions? Yes, maybe not, in kind of the day-to-day conversations, but we're all well aware of the great expeditions, right? The moon landing, for example, the exploration of the Arctic or Antarctica to the South and North Poles, first flight across the Atlantic, right? Did they start there, like for the, or even Mount Everest, did they start at the base of Mount Everest? No, they started like way back here. They didn't even get to the base camps of Mount Everest until they knew exactly that roadmap that they were going to get there. And again, that's why it's important to be able to understand how are these pieces fitting into place. And the expedition that's a bigger type of product that I deal with a lot, as well as getting those companies into that higher range as well. But right now, we just need to focus on the roadmap and the strategy to be able to get to that point as well. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to do too much once we get there. If I said, let's go to Mount Everest, everything's paid for, everything's ready, the equipment's all there, let's just, get some helicopters and land at the base of Mount Everest, how many would say, yeah, I'm in, right? Not many people. Because we have no training, we have no understanding, we have no leadership, we don't know the processes, we don't know really what we need to do. So while it's a great goal, again, to get to that peak, we have to decide what's really important. And what's really important is building the roadmap to get there with your strategy as well. So what do we want? Where do we want to go? This is what I call the amplified growth through online, and this is the growth pathway strategy. We want to be able to play a bigger game online. We want to be able to smash revenue roadblocks and plateaus, and we want to be able to break class ceilings with the growth as well. So it's really important, and I'm going to start getting into these steps as well, ABC, just so I can show you how it all fits together so we can kind of keep track of it going forward. So, what's holding you back from your mission? What do you know you want to be able to do, right? How important is that? How do we want to know what we want to do? Well, we have to go through a discovery, right? We have to go through an understanding of what does this all mean? What do these pieces mean? How do I put it together? How do I make it a lot easier and that sort of thing? Ultimately, it comes down to three things: create and capture new demand, develop uncontested market space, and make competition irrelevant as well. So I've embedded these concepts all together also. So what's holding us back? No impact, no traction, no resources, wasting a lot of time and wasting a lot of money online on stuff that doesn't work, on processes or steps or tech that doesn't work. Not that it can't work, it's that we've kind of given the conditions that don't allow it to work. No organization, no structure, confusing, and overwhelm, right? Do you guys agree with some of those? Do you have some of your own? I'd love to hear if you got a chance, type in the chat, what's your biggest challenge? What's your biggest frustration? What's slowing you down the most with implementing online in a much better way as well? So I'd love it if you could put that in the chat. What's your biggest challenge going forward? All right, so what's getting in the way? Well, what I've been able to do is look at, okay, well, what are these frustrations? And again, being in the business and the industry for quite some time, you pick up these feelings and these understandings, and some are direct and some are indirect and that sort of thing. So you need to be able to understand how these all fit together. And what I've found, and again, could be slightly different for you, and thanks, Carrie, for putting that in, the MQL quality is the biggest challenge. Cool. I'd love to see how that fits. Gamification as well, yeah, very, very important to be able to do that also. The biggest challenge, Daniel, yeah, paying $3K a month for Facebook and not getting appointments. Yes. Good. Well, glad that's working. And pay $600 per month for LinkedIn. Yeah, I was talking about that earlier. It's like Facebook has some problems. That's the elephant in the room that we need to kind of check at the door as well. So we can't let the elephant get into the room. Is that how that works? Anyway, it comes down to three frustrations that most companies feel going forward as well. The first one is being fractured. And this feels like things are broken between online and offline, or they haven't really kind of connected the pieces of online and offline. And as a service-based business, you are both. And again, that's where that transition and that transformation needs to be able to put in place is where are you type thing. Things are broken between what is being done online. It doesn't feel connected or continuous. And this shows up as no sales, no processes, or a rocky journey as well. Second one is friction. Resistance to moving forward with a plan or being uncertain of what to do. It feels like there is no compatibility or that there's something slowing you down. Like, have you ever gotten into a vehicle and you're backing up or moving forward? And it's like, why is this thing not going so well? It's like, oh, I got the handbrake on or something like that. Or the tire's flat or something similar as well. So that's friction. And that actually exists here in what we're doing every day. As well. So it's something that's slowing you down, and this shows up when you're kind of getting ahead of yourself with limited strategy, mindset, and the mechanics of the choices that you make or you don't make. So you need to be able to see what works through experiments. What doesn't work as well is often even more important as also. So we need to be able to do that. Yeah, and Daniel, like changes in the rules, Apple, that's where a lot of that, that's where I kind of came up with the elephant in the tub. Is that the changes with the iOS, that's really starting to hurt businesses, and they're not being able to see what's going on, and they're not getting the results as well because people just don't see the ads anymore. Facebook has got to make some serious changes, otherwise there might be like a vacant building coming up. And last is fragmented. So these are small pieces that don't seem to work very well together. It doesn't feel like it is working in unison. It's not like a well-running machine or an engine. Sometimes, when you get engines that kind of stall or the timing's off and they're pinging kind of thing, that's what fragmented means. And that can really show up as disparate landing pages, that they're not really connected properly, no digital assets, no overall campaign strategy, no structure to what they're doing and how they're doing it as well. So it needs to be coordinated, and that's really what we need to look at. So I've gone over a lot of these, but you can quickly see, not always organized, no real structure, confusion, overwhelmed, deciding on what to do next, knowing where you want to go, not always having clarity with direction. Unconfidence, I call friction as well, in overall skills and competencies and that sort of thing. Not reliable results, little resources in alignment, wasting time, wasting money, little trust, and hard selling as well. And then fragment is uninspiring, because of uncertainty, little impact, no traction, and no conversions as well. So they can, like I'm saying, these can all show up differently, but if you could tick the box on some of these, and I'm sure you can, what are your top 3 frustrations within each of these as well, or what's your primary frustration within fractured, within friction, and within fragmented as well? Because if we understand the problem, if we understand the challenge, if we understand what's slowing us down, then we can actually move forward as well. So how do we overcome that? Well, 3 simple ways: being capable, being confident, and being compelling. Pretty easy, right? How do we look at it in terms of black and white? It's like, okay, well, what's the problem? Fractured. How do we actually deal with that? We have to look at our capabilities. What's our pain? Friction. How do we deal with that? How do we overcome that? We need to look at our confidence with digital and online. We're seeing a lot of fragmented issues that is slowing us down, that's breaking things up. How do we deal with that? We need to look at how compelling are we? How compelling is our offer? How compelling is our value? And how compelling is our presentation of our value as well? So we need to be able to understand this, understand what our beliefs are and what our understanding of this, because this is what's causing the resistance in what we're doing. And once we can identify that, so I'd love to ask you, if you can, type it in the chat. what is causing fracturing, what is causing friction, and what is causing fragmentation as well to your business. And it could be short term, it could be long term, it could be midterm, it could be, based on what you're doing or what you're not doing as well. Keep that in mind also. So I want to explain quickly what these actually look like as well. How can we dig a little bit deeper? So what does this feel like? Let's start with the first one, being capable. Okay, how do we do that? Persuasive positioning. All right, what does that actually mean? That means we're creating an amazing customer journey of transformation. I spoke of that journey earlier on at the beginning. We're providing that. How else do we create persuasive positioning? By understanding that irresistible value that we have to our audience, and monetization. How are we actually creating those monetization opportunities? And then the third thing of being able to create persuasive positioning is by unlocking our expertise in our zone of genius. Everybody here and everybody online and everybody who has a business, they're smart people, right? Let's be completely honest. They're very smart people, and they have very good skills to be able to do that. But how do we unlock that? How do we make that easier for that business to be able to survive? And how do we make that easier for your business to survive and thrive as well? We have to use those skills. We have to use what you're good at to be able to understand what these pieces are and how they all fit together. So it's very, very important that we're able to do that, and we're able to do that quickly as well. Make sense so far? Any questions on this persuasive positioning? First off, of being capable. When you can, just type it in the chat. That's cool. All right, so let's move on to B. The B side is being confident. The pain, the friction is friction itself, right? It's slowing us down. It's weighing us down. It's weighting us back, that sort of thing. How do we overcome that? Tenacious targeting. What does that actually mean? Well, it means looking at magnetic measurement to decide with data. A lot of us just kind of go with the flow and we follow that rut down the road or up the hill or whatever the case may be. We follow that rut. But what we really need to do is we need to really reimagine this and say, what is my customer telling me? And there's a lot of information out there that we don't actually look at, that we don't actually see because we're not aware of it. But we need to be able to use that. We need to be able to decide on the data that's important for our customer, connecting with our customer as well. And without that, we don't really know what's going on. We don't really know what's happening or what they're responding to or what they're not, to be able to do that. So it's really important to be able to look at how you can do that. The second thing of creating this tenacious targeting that I talk about is building a precision digital toolkit and a tech stack, okay? What does that mean? I say this a lot, and I think I put it in some of these slides as some of the catchphrases, but we want to make sure that we humanize digital. We can't be all AI. We can't be all tech. We can't be all, anything. We have to understand that there's a range, there's a spectrum of what technology we do use, but it's so important to be able to connect the proper technology at the proper time. And if we're not able to do that, then we're really going to be missing out on what's important and how do we actually put these pieces together. And guess what? You might try something and it doesn't work. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work because of you or because of your business. It might just be how it's assembled, how it's put together as well. So we really need to understand that there's certain tech that we need at certain positions along this roadmap as well. We don't need them all at once. And that's another big mistake that a lot of businesses make, is they go all out and they'll get all the platforms, the learning and the education and the training and the emailing and the ads platform and everything. And it doesn't work. And why is that? It's because they haven't built these pieces in proper sequence. They haven't understood, okay, well, what's important now? Do I need to get this right now, or can I wait and can I run some experiments to be able to decide what's really, really important as well? And then finally, we want to make sure that we do have the streamlining process behind everything. And again, that comes from simple things like having a roadmap, having an understanding, having a strategy. I talk a lot about, the triangle strategy here. That's a strategic architecture. It gives you a pathway forward. It gives you an understanding of what kind of business you want to be able to work in and how you're going to offer your value to your business as well. So we need to make sure that we do have, the technology. We do have the automations, but we understand that if we don't have our processes in place, then it's not necessarily going to be working properly as well. All right, and then finally, what does this look like for being compelling? And again, the pain is seeing the fragmentation of what's going on as well. And how do we do that? Well, what do we want? We want connected and craving clients. How do we do that? We create an alluring, inviting, and engaging environment, something that provides what I call a digital experience, and that's part of this too. We want to create an immersive, enchanting digital experience, and we want to be able to create a tantalizing and relevant digital assets and foundations that connect with your audience. And that's a lot of words. It might be a word salad to some, but what that fundamentally means is we need to take them on this journey of transformation, as I showed you at the beginning. We need to be able to see where are they along this pathway of transformation and how do we get them there. So that's what an engaging environment does. That's what an alluring, engaging environment does. An inviting environment as well. That's what our digital assets do, because we can then decide what digital assets do I need at certain points in time. And then we can create the experience at these specific points as well, so that we're able to fundamentally deliver a remarkable digital experience worth remembering. And that's what we want to be able to do here also. So thanks, Carrie, for all the comments. And many people criticize attribution modeling versus online parts of the journey. Yeah, when digital becomes spammy, one must differentiate or die. And that's perfectly true. One of the challenges is that where do you fit in terms of that spam versus kind of business growth? And if you don't know where you're going, you might be spamming and don't actually know about it as well. So yeah. All right, so those are the three different pieces, and what I want to show you quickly is how do we actually unroll this. So again, we have, our fancy triangle here. We have our growth pathway strategy here. We've got everything that we need to be able to do, right? We have our persuasive positioning, and then we have our three parts to each one of these. So we have our transformation journey. I'm not going to be able to squeeze all that right in. We have our monetization, and then we have our zone of genius. Okay, so that's that. And then we have our tenacious targeting. And for that, we've got our three parts as well. We've got our measurement with data. We have our tech stack, and again, one that works for you and is timed properly. It's not just as easy as picking something off the shelf and throwing it up and seeing what happens. And then we need our automations as well, and our end on demand. Also, we need to be able to make sure that everything is ready, as I showed you with some of those other models as well. And then the last one, this is A, this is B, and then C was connected and craving clients. There we go. And we had the three parts there. We had the environment, we had the foundations, the digital assets, and then we had the digital experience. Make sense? There's a bit there, but again, this isn't necessarily, I'm not telling you it's going to be easy, as Morpheus once said. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy, but I'm telling you it's going to be worth it in the end. What do we really want out of this? We want to simplify this, right? Like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And if you can, hopefully you can see what I've been scribbling here. But at the end of the day, what is a roadmap? It's simple. It's like turn left here, go right here, stop here, get petrol there, get food here, and you keep on going down the road as well. So that's exactly what we want to do. We're going to roll this out to be able to show you that direction of how do we actually get from A to B to C as well, to our specific goal. And it does take some stops, and it does take some things along the way. But if we're prepared and if we know what those are, they're not delays. they're helping you get there. That's really fundamentally what we're going to be seeing here, is that this is how you can actually get there as well. So we want to make sure that we do allow this to be able to say, okay, well, how do we get there? How do we go from persuasive positioning? How do we get to tenacious targeting? And then connected clients. And if we can work through each one of these, we're going to have our roadmap, quite simply. What do we need to be able to do this? And this is where you might want to take a screenshot, but something quite simply, if you noticed, I did have each of these items identified. Ask yourself the question for persuasive positioning. I've got 3 questions there. Fill those out. Tenacious targeting. Gain 3 questions, because that's really going to help you identify where exactly you are in this space as well. And then connected and craving clients. There's 3 questions also there too. So if you want, at the end, there's a way of getting these download of these worksheets as well, so you can fill it in. And if you can fill it in, then you can actually see the different steps along your roadmap and how it actually works. And that's what I've done here. I've included all of these parts. So we go through the 3 pieces of persuasive positioning. We then go through the 3 pieces of tenacious targeting. And finally, we finish up with connected and craving clients and the 3 pieces for those as well. So we've built our roadmap very easily as well. So we're able to understand what it is that we want to go to, what do we want to be able to see as well. Carrie, can you please show the matrix again? Yeah, the slide went too fast. Yeah, just take a quick screenshot of that. Or like I said, you can get the worksheet at the end. I've got a link that you can go to as well. But all you want to do is identify. I've put these in clear columns so that you can actually see each specific item: persuasive positioning, tenacious targeting, and connected and craving clients as well, down the road also. So we're creating that roadmap. Is it going to be easy? No, but it's going to be worth it. Why? Because we will be able to then create our growth call to action. At the end of the day, we think about it, but we don't necessarily articulate it. And that's why this is super important, because you're able to say, okay, where is it that I want to be able to go? Where is it that I want? What is it that I want to be able to do? And again, do I have to sit on these ruts as it kind of goes the typical direction, the typical stops and that sort of thing? Or am I going to cut my new path because I know exactly where I want to be able to go, right? If we know where we're going to go, guess what? We can identify the steps that are going to take us there. And we've got now 9 specific steps. We've got 3 specific categories that really help us identify that as well. So what is yours? I asked you this at the beginning. What does success look like for you? Where are you headed with your business is probably more important. And maybe if you've got some time, I'd love to hear, where are you headed with your business? What is that goal that you really want? And we talked a little bit about it at the beginning, but maybe just to reflect on it. And how does it change or adjust with kind of what you've seen here and the pieces that you want to be able to look at as well. This gives you this enduring sense of enduring. Yes, that's it. It gives you that sense that it's not necessarily a short mission that you're on. So every day, every week, every month, every year, if you have a strategy, if you have a roadmap, you know intuitively where you want to be able to go. And that's really, really important as well. So hopefully that helps. So one more step to enrolling this, and that's kind of one of the cool things that I can do with this, is because I've developed some tools as well. So again, as I said, if we're moving from, if we're feeling fractured, we can develop that through capabilities. If we're feeling friction, that's confident, and fragmented, that's compelling as well. Okay, so remember how we started with just this simple diagram? Now, this might look kind of complicated, but all I've done is I've kind of restructured each one into its place as well. So persuasive positioning, tenacious targeting, and then connected and craving clients. Now, the cool thing is that all these triangles together, what does that equal? I love math too, maths as they say here in Australia. I love maths too. And one of the cool things about geometry is that you're able to actually create something out of it. And what I've been able to do is create from all of these triangles a simple little tool like this that actually enables you to see how do these pieces fit together, Okay, so I've got everything here, the business GPS, capable, compelling, and then confident as well. And then all of the three different aspects are part of this also. So it's one of the ways that we can actually do towards creating our own little, I call it a stratahedron, but we're able to print it out like that, create it into a little shape like this, and then that translates into a little 3D cube that we can then talk about our business. We can present our business like this. We can understand, we can look at it and see, well, how do these pieces actually fit together? How do they interact from this sort of thing? And that's something that we can do with what I call my Stratahedron model creator as well, and I'll get into that shortly. So just about ready to wrap up here. The digital challenge for business. Challenge is another word for opportunity. So what does your next 90-day plan have? As the world adapts and changes, businesses need to adapt, change, and transform with the times, and that requires digital, the knowledge of knowing what your customer is doing, how they are doing it, and what they want to do as well. So what are you missing out on? Challengers should see this as a time as tremendous opportunity as well. So are you curious about what your new roadmap can actually look like? So now it's your turn to make it happen. I'm putting this out there as a digital challenge to say, well, what can I actually do? What can you actually do to be able to do this? And I would suggest let's look at this. How do we actually create a growth pathway strategy, a GPS roadmap for you and your business as well? Your business can grow if you have a plan, if you have a roadmap, if you have a strategy. Otherwise, you will be feeling like you are spinning your wheels, and you will be feeling that there's friction there, and you will be feeling that these pieces don't actually connect, and I'm not sure exactly what to do next as well. So we need to be able to simplify that. We need to be able to understand how to do that. So I do have what I call my Growth Pathway Strategy GPS project. Applications will be opening soon. It's a 100-day project where we go through your specific business. We go through your specific elements, your specific identities as well, in terms of how do we make this work specifically for your business as well. So it's opening soon, and if you allow me the ability, I would love to keep you in touch on what's going on and how you can actually get connected with that also coming up. So it's basically a growth pathway strategy for SMEs and entrepreneurs who want to make a bigger impact, get better results, and find better customers online as well. So almost done here, and I think we've been at 55 minutes. So hey, timing is like almost perfect. So let's see, where to next? If you want to see where you are right now at this point in time, I would like to send you to this site here, bit.ly/businessgps, and it's case sensitive. So it's small case business and large uppercase GPS. And that'll allow you to actually see where along this roadmap you are. What skills do you have? What information do you need? What might be missing? Where are some gaps? Or what can you actually fill in? Okay. And if you do that within the next 24 hours, I'll send over, or you'll get rather a special roadmap summary and what you can improve now. You'll get, I'll send you a roadmap diagram sent via email. I'll send you the roadmap Stratahedron, this card here that contains the elements as well. I'll send out your roadmap discovery kit. I'll send you a roadmap worksheets, the ones that I talked about here. And then you'll also get a PDF copy of my digital strategy book breakthrough also. So if you're interested in just seeing what is it that I need to know now, go take that quiz, go take that audit, go take that assessment, and see what you're able to do. Actually, I do have actually I can't show that. I do have it as a link. I'll show the link, but the screen share button is in the way. So I'll close this off and then I'll be able to show you that. The next thing you can do, so this is step number one. Oops. Number one. And then number two. See where you can go and be next, okay? And what we could do is we'll have a 15-minute triage to uncover quick wins and some opportunities for you as well. We'll do a quick little strategy session, and I'll actually build you a custom one that fits exactly what comes out of our conversation as well. So if you want to book a quick little call, bit.ly quick and hot for quick and hot short meeting. So two choices. You can do one or the other. Which one are you going to do? Triage link works. Perfect. Thanks, Carrie. couldn't find that page. Which one? The Calendly link or the business GPS? This one again has to be case sensitive. Business. Try with capital G. Oops, capital G, capital P, capital S. So it's small case like this. Hopefully I can fit it. And just go bits.ly. I'll unshare my screen and then you'll be able to click right on it. I'll make it easy for you. There. Okay, so that's the business GPS. It should show up on the upper right or somewhere around the chat. What does your business GPS roadmap look like? So just try it and see. Okay, good. That's that one. Love it. Like I said, I'll give you those gifts if you're able to take the quiz within the next 24 hours. If you want to book a call as well for your triage, and we'll find some quick wins and some opportunities as well to be able to do that. And we'll go through a specific Stratahedron example as well, so that you can then use that. And I'll mail you you can print these out. You'll get a copy of that as well. So that's about it. Any questions? Here's the link for the triage as well. Cool. So that's all I had. What we can do now, if anybody's interested, I can kind of open up the room, and if you want to kind of have some Q&A, I'll turn off the live sharing, and then we can answer some questions on stage. You basically just have to grab the mic, and then you'll be able to turn on your video camera or not, or we can do it in Clubhouse mode with just audio as well. So if you're interested, feel free to grab the mic, and I can hang around for a couple minutes and answer your questions directly as well. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to present to you. Thank you for taking the time to be able to see this and get things going as well. So cool. So thanks everybody for coming. And like I said, if you wanted to, let me just unshare this.